What's up, everybody? It's Dingers with the boys. We're here with episode 29. Getting up there in episodes for sure. So much fun.
1 year older than me.
Yeah, you're
I'm
old.
28.
Yeah. Hasn't caught me yet, but soon enough. It's kind of crazy just looking from where we started 29 episodes ago and just how much it's evolved and how much more comfortable we've gotten. It's just so much more fun,
It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely don't have to write every single thing down that we're going to talk about and everything, which is nice. It's just like we just get that flow going.
I still remember episode 1.
Yeah. Oh, it was so fun though. It's just been a blast. This week though, the biggest story this week, I would say, in sports, Caitlin Clark left off the U.S. Women's Olympic 5-on-5 team, which she got left off the 3v3 team, but I honestly don't think she was even asked which it was even a thought that she would be on the 3v3.
She did even say that she's never even played 3v3, so she'd be lost a little bit because it is an entirely different game.
It's kind of crazy because Van Lith, who's going to be playing at TCU this year, who played at LSU this last year. Before that, she played at Louisville. Yeah, she's on the team. Yeah, and she's in college next year, and so that's just kind of crazy. Like you don't see that very often. I didn't think you could do that.
I'm pretty sure she was on the FIBA national team,
like the under 19 or whatever.
No, I think there's like a FIBA 3v3 national league or something. Like
I hope they can do good
on the team, but
I hope they.
I'm sure USA is favorites in that. They're definitely huge favorites in the 5v5.
They haven't lost an Olympic game. I don't know if it's complete international. I don't think it's that. I don't know, maybe. But I know they haven't lost an Olympic game since 1992, the women's.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's dominance.
I saw they did. They've won 7 straight golds.
Yeah. It's
going for 8.
Well, and it's the thing, too, with that is, like, because the men's, everybody thought it was going to be like there, and now the world has caught up, you know? And even though, like, the men won last one,
I think you could even argue maybe that USA has kind of slipped. I don't know. I know you think differently.
Well, I mean, I don't think they've slipped. I think just the entire world has gotten better. It's not like that we're worse than we've been. Yeah. It's more just the competition is so much better.
Yeah.
And so before it was like you have nobodies on these teams, and now, all right, you have some of those top teams.
Well, it's also
before we get into men's, because I want to talk about a little bit of men's.
Yeah,
we need to talk about Caitlin Clark though, because I don't want to get off that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Caitlin Clark, what do you think?
At first, I was kind of upset by it. Now I've kind of taken some time to think about it, and I've looked at stats and other things.
Sorry, guys, my cat's going crazy.
I've kind of looked at some stats, and I do kind of see why she was snubbed. There is a few players, though, one in particular that I know me and Tim are going to get into, that do kind of raise some eyebrows on why she was picked over Caitlin Clark. But the one thing I'm most confused about is we all know that Caitlin Clark was not going to start on the USA team. But even just being a bench player and maybe getting 5 minutes per game, or even in like the garbage minutes, which there will be.
Did you see the reports about that? They said that's part of the reason, supposedly, why she didn't make it.
Yeah, and that's why I was so upset. It's like, all right, so you're basically keeping her off the team because of what fans might think?
Exactly.
Like, it's ridiculous. Fans are going to be there to support her, but they're also there to support the USA.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know. They would have understood. And honestly, what's the worst fans can do? If they get pissed off that they're not playing Caitlin Clark, all right. People get booed all the time. Like, who cares?
I think with that, because they said, like, they were worried about, like, fans, like, how they'd react, and some of the veterans were worried and stuff. I think the number one veteran that was worried about that, supposedly worried about that, is Diana Taurasi.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's worried about that. She doesn't like Caitlin Clark. You've pretty much, like, she said negative things like, oh, she's not that good. Like, yeah, she needs to, like, earn it. And, like, hey, I get she has to, like, earn, like, being in the league and everything like this. But Taurasi has something against Caitlin Clark. And I think it's honestly, I personally think it's jealousy.
I think a lot of people are jealous.
So the number one, all right, say before Caitlin Clark, number one most famous WNBA player, who would you say? I have a name in my head, but who would you say?
Probably Brianna Stewart.
I would say Lisa Leslie. A lot of people know her. You know, she was big. And it's funny because it's just the name. I think a lot of people know the name. And then, you got, like, Brianna Stewart. You got Asia Wilson. You also have, like, Taurasi is one of, like, a very big name.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin Clark comes in her very rookie year. And even before, like, her rookie year in college, they were already talking about it. Well, Taurasi's like, I've been playing in this league for 20 years.
Yeah. Why
didn't I get all that? You know, it's like, like, I'm bigger now, but why didn't I get all that? And I don't mind Taurasi, but
I don't mind either. But I do agree that I think there's a lot of WNBA players that are jealous and they're worried that, hey, USA, like, national team, this is our time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we bring Caitlin Clark, we're going to get drowned out.
The worst thing that could happen to them is if they lose a game. It doesn't matter if it's in pool play, because everybody is going to go wild. If they end up losing a game, people are going to go insane. I don't think they will. I really don't think. I think they're stacked. The stats, what you were saying, you said you were upset at first, and then you kind of looked at the stats, you're not as upset. I still am. I think that's ridiculous because, like, all right, you got players that, I'm not saying that any player on there isn't deserving of being on there. They're stacked. They're completely stacked, every single position. However, you got to think, Caitlin Clark, all right, she's 13th in points in the league right now.
Yep.
Okay? 3rd in assists. 17th in blocks, which, all right, it's a little further down. 17th in steals, same. 3rd in total threes. 29th in rebounds, which, okay, that's further down. Yeah. But who else on this list has, like, that high in all of them? You know?
Yeah, not many.
Especially 13th in points, 3rd in assists. I'm like, man, that's... Yeah. It's the overall game, you know, that, especially, like, it's overall.
Especially with what Caitlin Clark's role would be on this USA team. She'd be coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
She could be a spark. She isn't shooting extremely well from 3 this year, but still, she can get really hot really quickly. And if you need that spark off the bench, which bench players are supposed to do, I think Caitlin Clark can exactly be that person.
Could you imagine just having her off the bench?
Yeah.
It's like, wow. And, you know, the number one name, and both of us have said this, we've talked about it the last couple of days, Diana Taurasi, I don't think should have been on there stat-wise. Well, it's stat-wise and how her playing is, you cannot tell me Caitlin Clark's not better at this moment.
I agree.
The only thing... All right, she's been on multiple Olympics. She's a veteran. She's 41 or whatever. Mm-hmm. She's almost going to be a coach kind of thing. That's the only thing. And that could be a huge thing, you know. But you also have other veterans on there, too. I mean, just think, like, Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson are going to start next to each other.
Yeah. That alone can probably... those two alone could probably beat teams.
You could have those two and 3 nobodies and probably beat them. And so I personally, I mean... I don't know who for sure I'd take off. I mean, you got Brittany Griner on there, too. You really don't need that much of another big person. Kelsey Plum. You know, there's some other players that...
Well, then it's interesting. Chelsea Gray is going to make the team, which I think she deserves it, but she's hurt.
Well, and it's funny because, she's my favorite player. I love watching her in the WNBA. She's my favorite player by far, you know. But... she's hurt. She's supposed to come back. They say they're very, like, mum on it. There for a while, it was like, all right, near the end of the season, but it's like, I don't know. That kind of brings me up to my next point, but do we want to still talk about Olympics? Because
I have So I have one more thing to add.
Because I want to talk about something that brought me up.
So you were saying like it's going to be really bad if they lose a single game, and I agree with that. I think it's going to be even worse. So this USA roster will scrimmage against the WNBA All Stars, which guarantee you probably Caitlin Clark is going to be on that team.
How's that going to work? I didn't know that. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
How's that going to work? Because I'd almost guarantee every single one of these players is going to be an all-star.
Probably.
So how does that work?
I don't know how it's going to work, if it's going to be like, all right, everybody that didn't make the team and who's left, maybe, but
I'd be surprised at...
I'm taking it as your USA team versus basically
the rest of the top
players. Mm-hmm. But Caitlin Clark is probably going to be on that team. What if they beat them? I know it's just a scrimmage, and it's not going to be
or if she drops
mean
40
for anything,
or
like what if Caitlin Clark just goes off that game?
Dude,
everybody's going to be like, what the heck? Why is she not?
It seems like she's starting to get her flow a little bit. She's starting to shoot a little bit better. She's not doing as many turnovers. She's kind of, it's hard. And we talked about this. The WNBA has the hardest turnaround, I think, of any sport.
Yeah.
From the draft and the colleges, because from the first game to their last college game, if they go deep, it's 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And whereas everywhere else has usually exactly, and so they're a young team too. They have Boston from last year, the rookie, and so it's they're just kind of getting it. It's interesting to me that they didn't do it too. It's hard to say because you want to pick it because your top players. However, what they could have, what even just the WNBA could have attracted.
Yeah,
having Caitlin Clark. Because, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Will you watch will you watch the women's basketball in the Olympics?
Probably. If it's probably not going to be my top sport, but
it'll probably be on in the middle of the day too.
Yeah,
same. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
If Caitlin Clark was on the team, it would have been in prime time, most likely.
Yep.
Would you have most likely they're playing at this time and watched it more?
Probably.
Yeah. So the viewership, I get, even if you don't think she's the top player, whatever. Yeah. The viewership, even if she gets 5 minutes a game, is insane. And how much the WNBA could have gotten, especially with, because I think it's at the end of this year is when they start doing their TV deals again. They renegotiate their TV deals. Because everybody's all right, the WNBA is going to get paid more after this. I think it's this year. Dude.
Just as a money thing.
Oh my gosh. It could have been so big, and, I don't know who makes those decisions or anything, but it's just wow. And you were, I know you wrote down here that the Fever's number 1 in attendance.
Yep.
Okay. But they're second to last in the league right now.
Yep.
And this was crazy to me. She's number 4 in jersey sales.
Yeah.
Including the NBA.
That was actually something I saw on Pat McAfee's show. They were playing a little game, and I saw that stat line, and then I was researching it a little bit more. Caitlin Clark broke jersey records on draft day. It was higher than a lot of NFL players.
Which is insane.
It's insane. NFL is probably the biggest sport in America. But yeah, it's just crazy how much.
Do you know who 1, 2, and 3 were? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Were they all NBA players though? She's
sure.
the top in WNBA,
but yeah,
right?
She's the top in WNBA by far.
Dude, that is insane to me because I've watched WNBA here and there, and especially the last few years I've watched more. But even before that, I was here and there. Now, almost every single night, I'm looking at scores and box scores the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right, if I don't watch the game, I still look at the box scores,
at least
see how
watching
people did and
highlights
stuff.
or whatever.
Almost every single night.
Did you see what? I'm pretty sure it's the UConn women's head coach. Did you see what she said about, or he said about Caitlin Clark?
Uh-huh.
So he basically said how disappointed he is, and it kind of
because of the
resonated.
Olympics?
No, just with how the WNBA is treating her kind of, and he harped on the idea of all these players think that she doesn't automatically earn her spot and all this stuff. And he said one very good point is, I guarantee you, like Angel Reese and all these other players, if you were in Caitlin Clark's shoes, you'd be doing the same exact thing. Like if you were given the option to have Caitlin Clark fame that Caitlin Clark has, you'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yep.
So and I think why in the world are you
all
so jealous and so upset?
Sometimes I think people say it just to get their name in it because they know if they say something about Caitlin Clark, it will make the news.
Probably.
Sometimes I think that.
I thought what he said was awesome. It's something I've been upset about.
I think he's the head coach of the Olympics. He used to be. I don't know if he is anymore. I think so though.
I don't know.
I think he is. All right, so are we good with Olympics? Do you want to talk about men's, or do you want to?
We can touch on it. But
okay, go ahead, because I want to bring up the Let me bring up some more stuff about the WNBA really quick.
Okay.
Do you think the Aces are in trouble? They're 2-time, back-to-back champions. Right now, as of tonight, because they lost to the Sparks tonight, they are 5-4 in 6th place. I get they've only played 9 games.
Yeah.
Do you think they're in trouble?
No, not really. Just because
have you watched any of their games?
Not really.
No.
Like I've done what you do. I look at box scores and
I've watched a couple of them. I actually, if Chelsea Gray cannot come back, I do not think they're winning another championship.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like I'm not that worried because I know Chelsea Gray is out. If
she's the point guard.
If she's out the whole entire series or season, then yeah, I think they're not winning. It's not three-peating.
Just watching them, I feel like they're lost without her a little bit at times. Because there's been another couple games that like have been close and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they are a little in trouble. Right now, I think New York and Connecticut just are so much higher. But it's crazy to me because the Aces have 4 women on the national team.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, they are.
I know they're back-to-back and stuff, but it's just kind of interesting.
And I think, like, the reason why I like WNBA so much is just because it does seem a lot more teamwork driven.
Oh, for sure.
It's not like the NBA, you can have a superstar and just with that one superstar win probably 30 games or something like that.
If he's like a big
WNBA, I don't think that as much. You need more
because you see sometimes even like Asia Wilson or like Brianna Stewart don't have a great game.
Yeah.
Their teammates are still doing their thing.
Exactly. So I think it's more like very equal and very much team driven. It's another reason why I like women's softball sometimes more than baseball. It takes every single person on the roster, which I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
And that's where like Oklahoma softball.
Yeah.
They just won their 4th in a row, first time ever. Congrats to them.
4-peat.
Dude, that is so crazy to me that they've won 4 in a row because you didn't get all those girls when they were freshmen, like 4 years ago. Not every single player is a senior or anything.
Yeah.
And all right, are they favorites to win next year too?
I think they got to be.
They won 6 of their last 8. The 6 of the last 8 years.
This reminds me of women's UConn when they went on that huge winning streak.
160 wins in a row.
I think this is on the same level. Obviously, like softball, I don't think we'll ever see a winning streak like that. But
because I think they lost 10 games still throughout.
And then it was kind of crazy because Oklahoma was the 3 seed. Texas was the 1 seed, and Oklahoma wasn't playing all that great in the World Series beginning. Like, to get to the finals, they ended up winning on a walk-off to get to the finals.
To Florida, right? I think it was,
So, but during the finals, they just obliterated Texas.
It's kind of crazy because Texas, I think they'd lost 8 games this year or something like that.
Yeah.
And like 4 of them were to Oklahoma. They did not beat Oklahoma at all, which is kind of crazy. They just had their number or something. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. And it's nice because, like you were saying, like UConn, it's the top players want to play for those teams.
Oh, yeah.
And so they probably have one of the top recruiting classes this next year as well.
And it makes it probably pretty easy when you keep on winning because then you can just go to the top players in the nation.
Hey, we just won 4 in a row.
We just won. That's all you got to say. You just say we just four-peated.
Yep, exactly.
You want to be part of this?
Every single year we have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it also means players are more chippy, maybe I don't know, other players that don't make the cut don't make the.
They want to beat them.
They want to beat them, and
I'm sure there's some players that go to other teams specifically for that. It's like, no, I'm going to beat you. You know, and if you don't, well, you should have picked them.
It's like the saying of you can't beat them, join them, kind of. But
it's congrats to them though. Going back to the Olympics USA men's team, we talked about this the other day because you don't think the men's are going to win the gold.
I don't.
Which it's funny because I think it's going to be hard. I still think that they're the favorites. I think they should win with who they have.
Yeah,
they should win.
Has that team got released? The roster?
Yeah, it got released. I think last week or something. But there's some.
I know there's still star power.
Well, the team that you think is crazy to me. I don't think. Yeah. I think everybody is making that such a big deal than it is. Go ahead. You can talk about who you think.
So I was saying Canada. I think they did really well in the FIBA World Cup.
Canada.
I think Jamal Murray. Hopefully he's healthy and he can play well for them. But I think. Canada's got a real shot.
So you have Jamal, SGA.
You got
those are. Hey, you might have the top 2 guards.
Yeah,
guard tandem in the Olympics. You might.
You got John Morant from Canada.
I don't think he's playing. Is he from Canada?
Yeah,
I don't think I saw him on their roster.
I know he is Canadian, but
interesting. I don't think
he might not play.
I don't think I saw him on their roster. But anyways, all right. After those 2, though.
Oh, I'm not saying but you have on paper.
I know, but
better players.
How are you going to beat the USA team?
Because I don't think in the last 4 or 5 years USA has really gelled together well. You can have every single best player in the world. You think
Canada's going to gel though? Dylan Brooks is going to start for your Canadian team.
I think Dylan Brooks is.
I don't mind Dylan Brooks.
Grown up a lot.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I actually don't mind Dylan Brooks. But when you say Dylan Brooks is your 3rd or 4th best player, dude, the reserves on the USA team are better than Dylan Brooks.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying I think USA goes in with such high egos and hey, we can win with our eyes closed, that they lose. They overlook people so much.
I'm not saying that they might not lose, and I still think they're the favorites to win. But I don't think Canadian,
the Canadians,
Canadian, hey. Anyways, Scottish talking about doing it again.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think Canada has a chance against the USA team.
Might not even
the Europe teams. Yes,
I think Germany, Serbia could give them trouble if
Spain,
Jokic plays.
Yep,
especially
if Jokic doesn't play,
probably not.
They'll still be okay.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna contend for.
I know, just Serbia and USA are in the same group.
Mm-hmm. I think Spain as well. Who's the Luka play for? Slovenia. I don't think they would be bad. I think those are all way better than Canada. Just when you told me Canada, I'm like, dude.
I'm gonna rub it in your face if Canada wins.
Dude, what if they don't even make it out of pool play?
I don't know. What if USA doesn't?
Oh, that's a joke. Kyle, don't you?
Pretty sure that's what happened in the FIBA World Cup, isn't it? Didn't they not even make the
It's funny to me when the FIBA's brought up though, because I get they're still the players, but it's not the top players.
I know it's different.
It's completely
for sure.
All right, who's going to guard Joel Embiid on? All right, so you have Joel Embiid.
I don't know.
This is your starting lineup. I don't know exactly. I can't remember who's all on it, but I know these ones. Joel Embiid's on it. LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I think Steph Curry is playing, and who's the There was one other guy that it was like, all right, he's probably the starter. I can't remember.
Not like Anthony
But-
Edwards.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But who's gonna stop that, dude? Like, I love Jamal. I hope they do good. I don't see it.
I think it's crazy because I'm not really rooting against USA, but in a way I kind of am. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just think USA wins too much.
Hey, I enjoy it though. I'd rather them win too much than lose. I do think it goes to their heads a little bit because they're like, oh, we're so much better. And that's where like the women's, and I think that's what happened with the men in, what was that, 04 when they lost? I think it was 04 in Athens. I think that's kind of what happened. And maybe in a few years, few Olympics, that could be with
I guarantee you the reason why like LeBron is coming back and
this is his last one.
Like Steph is one, it's his last one, and two, they need to redeem themselves. They looked.
Well, they've played since then, though. They've won gold since then.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. They don't have the biggest. They're not as high as they used to be. Kind of, and like you said at the start, that players from other countries have caught up.
That's where I think they've just caught up.
I think USA wants this year to show, hey, we don't care if players have caught up. We're still way ahead of them.
Yeah, I just don't see like. I don't see them losing. Like I don't. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be hard, but I really don't think that they'll. I think they'll get it done because they have those veterans. They have those guys who've been there. And it's not like LeBron is playing bad. He's still one of the top 10 players in the world. It's not. That's where like Taurasi. It's like she's been there and like she has that, but like you can tell like all right, she's not who she used to be. And obviously LeBron isn't either. But it's like, man, he's still a top 10 like major player in the world. And stuff.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm super pumped for it.
So with this, out of the format, like talking about like kind of like an international stuff and like how much basketball has like raised like the players wise, who do you think out of the top 4 sports, so the top like major sports here, so we got baseball, football, NBA, NHL, who do you think does the best to like draw the international crowd or like do the best, like because a lot of them do like those series and stuff. Like they're like, speaking of like the MLB just are finishing their London series today. Who do you think like does the best as a league trying to like grow it globally?
Well, I think if I'm speaking technically, I think NHL, you got to put them at the top. But they're at like an unfair advantage because they have so many Canadian teams. So I think already, like
and there's a lot of players that are coming from.
Yeah, that's like a major hub of players in the NHL.
It's funny because I think the NHL is actually one of the worst, but it's because they don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Like I don't think the NHL does as much.
Yeah.
But because they have all of these players from different countries.
Yeah.
Because I would say actually, I don't know this at all. I would say U.S. is definitely not the top nation in the NHL as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. It could be.
I know it's the U.S. has grown a lot in years past, but I would probably take that bet too that they're probably not. But yeah, so if I did put wherever I put like NHL, which is probably towards the top, there comes a huge asterisk next to that just because they kind of have it easy because majority of their players are Canadians and just like.
Well, it's like Canadians, and then you got like, you got players from like Russia, Sweden, all these other countries too.
All
it's
these
not
cold
just
countries that playing hockey is like
life,
Americans playing football in their backyards and stuff. But other than that, I would probably put MLB at the bottom just because they do international series, but
I feel like I don't know, have they been doing that for a while? Because for me, in my mind, I'm like, I feel like they just kind of started that not too long ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they
It's
just
like very
started
more
doing
recent.
it in the last few years. I remember the first time I think was Mexico City. I think 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, and they go and score a bunch of runs, and it's always crazy. But I know like the players do love going internationally and playing, but
Yeah.
I would still just think that MLB is at the bottom just because you don't
Just kind of
really.
new to it almost.
They're still new
and
to it,
stuff,
yeah. I think, but that being said, MLB or NBA doesn't really do that much either.
Mm.
I know they play one game in Paris, or they did last year.
Yeah, I think they're kind of starting, but it's interesting with the NBA. They don't have those games as much.
Yeah.
But I remember reading something, and this has been a few years ago. But they like the NBA Cares like organization. They did a lot in Europe, and they did a lot in like Africa and China and like Asia and like all around Asia and different stuff like that. And so I think like for that, it's with like kids and you know like these like leagues, these small kids. And so now you're seeing because they started that a while back now.
Yeah.
No, well now you're seeing hey some of these kids that were in that hey they're growing up and now you're getting these guys to the NBA and so they game wise they're not really doing it as much.
Yeah. But I think
it's harder though too in the MLB, NBA and NHL.
Yeah.
Because you're playing games sometimes back-to-back nights or every other night. And so it's harder there. Which brings us to the NFL. I think they're doing the best and like organizational wise just because they're playing so many games there and it's easier for them because they can have that like week off and stuff.
All right, so just go ranking wise. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And are we saying how the league is doing or popularity nationwide?
I would say
worldwide?
How is the league growing their sport globally? Rank that. I think that's because that's what I'm gonna probably rank mine off of.
Right now, I'd have to probably put NFL first.
Interesting.
Well, because they're actually doing those games and everything. And so it's I don't know because like I said, I know the NBA does that NBA Cares and different stuff like that. I just don't know enough about it to put it there. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of stuff. And like I said, this has been a few years, and I know they do a lot of stuff. So I'd probably go NFL, NBA. I'd probably go NHL and MLB then.
I think
that's probably what I would do.
I think I might shock you because thinking about it, I think I've changed my list. Number 1, I'd go NBA. I think globally, you could go to a lot of different countries, and majority of people will know at least one player.
But is that because of the players, though? Because the players are so diverse in the international? Because that's what I'm trying not to say because of what kind of players are in the league. Because if that, I'd say NHL by far.
Well, okay, all these players, why are they in the NBA?
Well, and that's where
because
that NBA cares, and that's where I'm like,
and that's why
I just don't know enough about that. That's why, because I'm assuming they still do it. I just don't know enough about it to do it. So, like, game wise and like how they broadcast, that's why I say NFL because they broadcast a lot. They go do so many games. That's why I say. NFL.
I was actually thinking about putting NFL last.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just because I think they go to all these places and nothing's really happening from it. It's not really making people like, hey, I'm going to like grow up and go to the NFL
But how long have they been doing this though?
I don't know.
10 years? Really?
I'm sure there's
I don't know for sure, but like
10-year-olds that have grown up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how long have they been doing this? Are they starting to get because you're starting to see some of those like rugby players that are getting right around that age.
Yeah.
They're switching over to football and different stuff. So that's where all right, did the NFL are we going to see that in the next 10 years like the NBA where it's going to be a lot more international players?
I think it could.
And so that's where I think
it's looking at it right now, I would guarantee you that American-born players still make up probably 90% of the NFL.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
Even when you go internationally, I guarantee you 40% probably of those fans are people, hey, let's go travel to Paris or let's go travel to London and watch this team because they're my team. Or
I don't know about 40%. I know there's some people, but I doubt.
I think there's probably a lot more people than you think. And I'm just spitballing. Like I think there's a lot more people that, hey, they're going to support that from America. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's why I'm thinking like maybe NFL at the bottom. And then I would put MLB then probably third and NHL second. But
what do they do though? Like, what do they do that gets them to be more internet, like a worldwide phenomenon?
I don't know. I just think like
that's right. I don't think the leagues are really doing that much. And like I said, I haven't researched this, but you just put them at second.
Well, NHL,
that's what I'm saying.
I feel like they don't really have to research.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to. That's why I asked. I'm like, hey, are we doing it off of what the league is doing, or off of like how because if you're saying like, hey, worldwide like popularity, I would change my list because, like you said, like the NHL doesn't need to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have so many, and I'm sure they do stuff, but I don't even know if. Well, I know there's a couple games usually, but that just started where it's like there's some international games. They never really used to have that. Baseball, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
NBA's been doing it a little bit, but it's usually like the preseason. But you're seeing it more because there's so many international players coming up. NFL, you see those games I don't know how many they're up to, but like 8 international games a year or something like that.
I think it's less than that. I think it's only 4.
I think they bumped it up. No, not just Europe though. Like because I think they're playing Mexico this year.
Because I think they only play 2 London games and then 2 somewhere else.
I feel like honestly, I don't know for sure. I feel like it was like almost every single week there was a European.
I think it's
game
like
after
Brazil,
game, like week 3.
Brazil is one. Mexico.
We should have looked at this up. We'll have to look this up.
We'll probably cover it in a later episode. Because I think we could probably go off on this and talk.
Well, and it's very interesting because then you can bring in other sports like soccer, cricket, like all kinds of different things and everything. And so it's just it's a very interesting discussion how it is. But overall, just in general, sports have definitely became more worldwide. I feel like at least like, and it's nice to see some of those other players
and there's
starting to come up. Is it the NBA? You were saying is like number 1 now. You're saying, it's like in my head because like they would be my number 1 probably as of right now because of how the league is. Like your top 5 players in the league are probably from different countries.
Yep.
It's like, man, that's pretty crazy. And whereas you say that 10 years ago,
you'd think, no way.
Yeah. You're like, hey, in 10 years, your top 5 players are going to be all international players. Like,
I would be interested.
In basketball? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Playoffs? You kidding?
But yeah, I agree. And I think there's so much the NBA can do more. We talked about it
We talked about that in the expansion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think they could make a whole nother division over there.
I think they could too.
Who knows? They could. It would be interesting though because then would the players force their way to play over in like Europe or something? It's at least like some of those international players.
Yeah. Who knows?
Interesting. I don't know. I'd like to see. I mean, they say they're going to talk expansion once their TV deals are done, which I think is this. Is it this upcoming year or the next upcoming year? The NBA. I know it's with like WNBA and NBA are within the next year.
The TV deals are changing because that's why they're saying.
So it's next year, right? Yeah, because they're still all this this coming year.
Well, no, I think this is the last year of TNT.
No, they still have 1 year. I know that. I know they still have 1 because they were talking about it. They're like, well, you're talking about like this then. We still have all of next year. I remember them saying. but I don't know when they have to for sure like finalize those negotiations.
Yeah.
So I know no matter what, TNT's got one more year.
We'll look that up and cover that in another episode as well.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying is Adam Silver was saying after that is all negotiated and done, that's when they're going to talk expansion teams.
Well, I think
it's going to be Seattle and Vegas, I think.
Yeah, you and I both know it. LeBron's going to retire, become an owner of one of those teams.
Yeah.
Don't know which one, but it's going to happen.
Especially Vegas. I think Vegas, for sure.
So,
but yeah, it'll be interesting. We went a little longer on all that than I
always
thought.
Do.
We were going to kind of mention some. Well, we can mention the Celtics are up 2-0.
Yep.
They're looking good. We had some predictions and stuff. We both thought that Dallas could have won one of these first two games. They didn't.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest thing was Luka and Irving. I said need to at least have 50 points. If they keep them under 50, Boston's going to win.
Yep.
Well, game one, they had 42. Irving only had 12. He had 2 assists in the first game. Ridiculous.
Yep.
Game 2, 48 between the two. He had 16. Irving had 16 points, 6 assists. Needs to be better. If they're going to win a game, Irving needs to be better. Because Luka's doing his thing. He had a triple-double tonight. He's doing his thing. Irving needs to do better for Dallas to be able to win a game.
And what I said in my predictions is Boston just has so many people that can beat you. Like Drew Holiday today had 26.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a lot of people forget what he was in Milwaukee last year.
Yeah.
It's like, because they look at his stats this year and think, oh, well, he can only score 10 plus or 12 plus. It's like, no, he can still go off. He can still be Drew Holiday from Milwaukee.
Well, I think both of us are right in both of our predictions because, I was saying the defense, you were saying the offense, and I think the defense led to the offense, but you still need to make those shots. And like you said, like you were saying, Drew Holiday, and he went off. Porzingis went off on that first game. He had 20 points or something.
I'm not surprised.
So I think he only had 10 or 12 this game.
I think he had 12 today.
Yeah.
But
and then Jason Tatum, I think, was 1 assist or 1 rebound away from a triple-double.
Yeah.
He's playing good, but
he wasn't I don't know how many points he ended up with when I looked.
I think only 16.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you just have so many people on that Boston team. I've told a few people that I think if Boston wins this series, I think in 10 plus years, you'll look at this Boston roster and I think they'll be talked in greatest of all time talks.
You're whack.
I just think,
dude, there's only one team that's in that talks.
Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets 2023.
Yeah.
Don't even bite your tongue about the rest, Kyle.
I agree. I do think Denver would beat them.
And it's crazy how different the league's going to be in the next few years because of the different salary cap that they've implemented. Crazy how it's going to be.
I still don't understand how Boston did what they did this year.
Yeah.
Moses making it.
Oh, boy. We got cat number 2. Come here, buddy. Sorry about this, guys. I'll punish him later. No, just kidding.
Moses just wants to be famous. He saw that we're killing it on our YouTube shorts lately, and
maybe Mose will get
wants
famous.
To be part of the fame.
Yep. Subscribe if you want to see more of Mose.
Yeah.
But let's get to our game picks. We talked about a lot. We were going to touch on a few other things, but let's just get to our game picks. We're going. Last week was a little different because, first we picked game 1 of the NBA. We both picked Boston. Boston won. Game 2 of the NHL. Both picked Florida. Florida won.
Yep.
Third one, we picked the series between the
Kansas City Royals and Cleveland Guardians.
Yep. I went Guardians. You went Royals. Guardians won game 1.
Yep.
Game 2 got
postponed
until August 26th or something like that.
And then Kansas City won game 3.
Yep.
So we talked a little bit about do we count it as a tie? Do both of us win? What happens here? And we don't think that there's going to be other ties.
Yep, there shouldn't be. So
I think, we're just counting both as a win.
Yeah, just because we're not going to put it as a loss, of course.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have it a tie.
Both of us went 3-0.
Yep. Yep. Kyle got lucky that one got canceled.
They should have won game 1, too. Stupid error.
They should have lost game 3, though. Guardians were in command. I was actually watching that at lunch, and
Yeah.
they were in command for most of that game.
They were,
And
but it was
then
only like a 1 or 2 point.
I think it
Or
was
two
4-1
run lead.
at one point.
Yeah.
But they were just like they just looked better. And then I think it was the 7th inning
Yeah.
that Kansas City. It was like, man, it just like kind of flipped a switch because like
Yep.
they weren't really hitting very much. It was just
Yeah.
But so this week we got 3. We're gonna stick with NBA, NHL, just the championships. We got the Stanley Cup and NBA championship. So first game we got is Monday, June 10th, Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. You want to pick first, or you want me to?
I'll go first. I'm picking Florida. I think Florida is going to dominate this series. I think they take a commanding 2-0 lead. They completely shut out Edmonton game 1.
Yep.
I think they're just by far the better team. Edmonton is a little tired from going to 7 games with Dallas. And yeah, I think they take game 2.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think Florida as well. I think their goaltending was great. You know, he was making some great saves. McDavid for Edmonton, I think he had 6 or 7 shots. And, you know, any shot can go in, but he needs to score for Edmonton to probably be, or at least an assist or something, you know. I know he had still 6. I can't remember if it was 6 or 7, but he had a lot of shots, you know, which is nice. But it's like you need to make a play happen, you know, like you're the top guy. I think Florida's going to dominate game 2, especially being in Florida as well.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Florida. Our second one is the Celtics. This is Wednesday, the 12th. Celtics versus the Mavs. This is the first. This is game 3. First game back in Dallas. I'll go first. The way the first 2 games have gone, Boston's kind of just like in a mode right now, man. And like I said, Irving is not playing as good as he needs to. The way he's played the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
And, you know, like he's still, it's not like he's like doing terrible, but he needs to be a great player.
Yeah.
He needs to be that playmaker. And he's just not doing it for me. So I'm going to go Boston. I actually think Boston's going to sweep them. Now, after this, I didn't think after these first 2 games, I think Boston's going to sweep them.
I don't think Boston's going to sweep them, but they will win game 3. They'll throw away game 4 just so they can win on their home court.
Interesting.
That's what I think. I think they're going to win 5, win game 3, throw away game 4, take it home game 5.
All righty. So we have 2 of the same.
Yep.
Saturday, June 15th, we're going back to the WNBA. New York Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces. This is a repeat of the championship last year. 2 great teams. New York's in second. Vegas is in 6th. They've definitely dropped a little bit. 11-2 and then 5-4. You want me to go first? Or you want to? I already know who I'm picking either way.
I feel like we're going to pick the same, but I'm going Liberty. I think, Liberty just looks really solid this year. Brianna Stewart's playing really great. And I think without, like we said earlier, without Chelsea Gray, they're a completely different team. They don't play with enough, as good teamwork, and Liberty are doing exactly that. They're playing with teamwork. They're hitting on all cylinders, and I think they're going to win.
Yep. I'm going to go to Liberty as well. As much as I don't want to. I mean, it is in Vegas, so I was kind of debating, and a lot of Vegas's games have been close. But the way Brianna Stewart and Anasko are playing right now, Sabrina Anasko, I think they're going to do it too. And just as a team, and 2 words, Chelsea Gray. You know, that's such a big difference. And, you know, like I said, she is my favorite player. I love watching Chelsea Gray. I hope she can come back soon because she just makes it so fun. I don't even care if, Aces lose. It's just like, man, when we were in Vegas, I looked for a shirt. You know, I was looking around a little bit. I've looked online.
Yeah, we were bummed we didn't see one.
Yep, and so who knows? I might end up ordering one. I've also thought about ordering a Caitlin Clark one. Yeah. I got on, and I was going to, and I was like, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then the shirt that I wanted sold out, and I haven't got back on to look if it's still there and everything. But yeah, so we picked all 3.
Probably gonna go 3-0 again.
Well, it's funny because I don't
even think there's a game on here that I can flip.
Because I'm trying to think, because it's like we like to have one different at least. But
I mean, I think this is the closest. Like Dallas was somewhat close, in today's game versus Boston, but then Boston just like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and it's back in Dallas. That would be
Snapped it
maybe the
away.
one
Well,
and
I
the
think
way the Panthers won, I don't think so.
I think
You know?
especially that first half, if Boston is up, Dallas is just gonna be like, there's nothing we can do.
You say that. I don't think that's a thing in the NBA. Like, because you're like, oh, they're just gonna like give up. Because you said that about Minnesota too, though.
I'm not saying they're gonna give up.
You said that like when the Nuggets were playing Minnesota. Oh, when like they can get up. Other than Anthony Edwards, they're just gonna be like, it's all good. I don't think any NBA team does that at all. I don't think because you saw Boston was up huge game one, and they came by brought it within I think 7 or 8 or something. I don't think any team professionally does that. I don't think any of them like are like, oh, hey, we don't have to try as hard or anything.
I'm not
like
saying
that.
they're gonna try as hard. I'm literally gonna. I think they just kind of throw up their hands and like, there's nothing we can do. We're playing.
There's always stuff though that like you can try to change up. That's what's frustrated me so much about the Nuggets because they didn't change anything.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, you are getting butts whooped. Change something. Put DeAndre Jordan in there. Play him against Rudy Gobert. You know, there's always something that you can at least try to change.
Yeah,
that's what frustrates me. But I'm with you. I think the Celtics are too much for them. I really did not think this. I thought it would go. I was thinking like 6. I thought Dallas would win 2. Now I don't think they're going to win.
I was only thinking 6 because I really did think that Dallas would win game 2.
Yeah.
But
and that's what me and you. I was like, they'll win. I was thinking they'd win either game 1 or game 2. I thought they'd win 1 in Dallas, and then Boston wins the rest. Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was a good one this week. Not sure if we're doing it next week, just because we're going to South Dakota. Yep. So we'll be there for 4 nights.
We will probably have some shorts though. So.
Yeah. We'll do a few of those. Maybe we'll do an extra one or something like that. Yeah. And so, but not sure if we'll have an actual pod. So if not, have a great Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I know I'm excited. You know, this is my second one technically. First one really with like my baby's like she's older now, a little over a year now, and so it's exciting. You know, you actually like kind of feel more like a dad, I guess. Like at first it's like, all right, it's a baby, you literally just like hold it, you know. It's exciting, but it's so much different, you know. And so have a great Father's Day, great couple weeks if we don't see you guys do this, you know. And we do have a guest. He was gonna be on tonight.
A little tired.
He played a lot of baseball this weekend, a little past his bedtime, but he will be getting on sooner than later. He's excited. He listens to all of them, and so we'll see how it goes. But he's really excited.
That's all we got for you guys. Later, Gators.
All right, we'll see you later, alligators. Peace.